All right, let's dive into a really cool biological mystery, a geographic oddity that has stumped people for ages. Okay, picture this for a second. Imagine a place where you could spend a summer evening outside without that annoying buzzing in your ear. No itchy bites, no slapping your own arm every 5 seconds. An entire country completely free of mosquitoes. Does a place like that even exist? Well, it turns out it does. And that place is Iceland. It's surrounded by countries that are just teeming with mosquitoes, but somehow Iceland is this remarkable pest-free paradise. So the big question is, why? To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to understand that our planet is just full of outliers, places that break the mold. And Iceland's mosquito situation is one of the weirdest. But first, to get some perspective, let's look at a few other planetary extremes. Some extremes are just about pure mind-boggling scale. Take a continent like Australia. It stretches for thousands of kilometers, creating this incredible variety of landscapes and ecosystems from one end to the other. And then you've got extremes in just sheer numbers. Look at Canada. We're talking almost 900,000 significant lakes. That's an absolutely staggering amount of water. And just to really put that into perspective, it's not just that Canada has a lot of lakes. It has more than the next few countries put together. It's home to something like 62% of all the world's large lakes. Now that is a true geographical extreme.
Okay, but what about the other end of the spectrum? What about an extreme of total isolation? For that, there's actually a technical term, the pole of inaccessibility. Basically, it's the spot that's the absolute hardest to get to, the farthest you can possibly be from a coastline.
The absolute king of these spots is Point Nemo, way out in the South Pacific. It is so ridiculously isolated that, get this, the closest human beings are often the astronauts orbiting above on the International Space Station. It's so far from everything that it's actually become the designated spacecraft graveyard, where we intentionally crash old satellites. Okay, so we've seen huge scale, massive numbers, and total remoteness, but Iceland's unique status, that's all about its crazy climate. And this brings us right back to our mosquito mystery. It's not just that Iceland's cold. Lots of places are cold. It's that its climate has this very specific, and for a mosquito, very deadly, quirk. Okay, so here's the secret sauce, the real reason why. Mosquitoes, right, they need a nice, steady, predictable cold spell to hibernate as pupae under the ice. Iceland just doesn't do predictable. The pupa will get frozen in a pond, but then a random thaw will kick in midwinter, tricking it into starting its development. But before it can finish, bam! A sudden deep freeze comes back and kills it. This stop-start cycle happens over and over, making it impossible for them to ever establish a stable population. So it's really like this perfect storm of nope for mosquitoes. You've got those wild freeze-thaw cycles. The water's usually way too cold anyway. There aren't many of the shallow, still ponds they need to breed. And nope, not even the geothermal hot springs create the right conditions. It is quite literally a terrible place to be a mosquito. There's this saying in Iceland, and it's not just some cute touristy phrase. It perfectly captures that chaotic weather we were just talking about, the very thing that makes life impossible for a mosquito. So yeah, Iceland is definitely hostile to mosquitoes. But let's pull back for a second, like way, way back, because hostile is all relative, What's tough for one little insect is nothing compared to places that are hostile to, well, all complex life. Just look at our next-door neighbor, the moon. It has no real atmosphere to shield it, no liquid water, and absolutely no way to control its temperature. All the basic things we just take for granted here on Earth are totally missing just a quick hop away.
I mean, look at these numbers. During the day, it's hot enough to boil water. And at night, it plummets to a level that makes Antarctica seem like a beach vacation. That's a swing of over 300 degrees Celsius every single day. Now that is truly hostile.
And hey, if you think that's bad, let's take a little trip to the edge of our solar system. Pluto is basically a giant ball of frozen nitrogen and methane. Its average temperature is a mind-numbing negative 229 degrees Celsius. It kind of makes Iceland's quirky, mosquito-freezing climate look like an absolute paradise, doesn't it? All right, so let's zoom all the way back to Earth, back to Iceland. This whole mosquito-free thing is a super cool natural quirk, right? It's born from a very specific and delicate set of conditions. But it makes you ask a pretty important question. In a world that's changing, how long can these unique little environmental wonders really last? And this is where things get a little worrying. Get this. In just the last 20 years, around 200 new types of insects have actually managed to set up shop in Iceland. These are species that before could never have survived there. So, yeah, the ecosystem is already changing.
So here's the real kicker. The very thing that keeps mosquitoes out, that wild, unstable, erratic climate, might actually be, well, stabilizing. As things get warmer, those crazy freeze-thaw cycles could happen less often. And that could, potentially, open the door for mosquitoes to finally finish their life cycle and make Iceland their new home.
And that really leaves us with this big, kind of heavy thought to chew on. Iceland's mosquito-free summer is this amazing, beautiful accident of nature. But if its unique conditions are this fragile, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of our planet's other special, one-of-a-kind wonders are basically just living on borrowed time?